All right, so I was sort of counting on Dan Tangerlini, GSA's administrator, to set the stage for a lot of what I'm going to talk about. So instead, it looks like I will probably give a little bit more background, and Dan will be flipping roles. But what I want to focus on is sharing with you a demonstration of the tool that we've heard referenced a couple of times throughout the day, and that I think could be a very powerful tool for helping with the pull together some of the ideas, some of the concepts, the information sharing, the collaboration, some of the themes that we've heard throughout the day today as a way of drawing us out of our own agencies and beginning to share and beginning to think as a single government versus individual agencies, individual offices, and thinking about how do we actually leverage the knowledge that we have as collective body rather than just the knowledge that we have within our own grasp or our own personal or professional networks. So what we have is what we're referring to as the acquisition gateway. And this started out as a tool. Actually, let me give a little bit of background. It started as a project to revamp GSA Advantage, which is an online buying platform that many people in the government use for buying off of the schedules. And what we discovered is that it wasn't GSA Advantage that was the problem. What we began learning when we talked to the senior procurement executives across the government, when we talked to people in the CIO's office, that there wasn't anywhere for people to go to understand how to buy, where you could find all of the contracts, or understand the landscape of government services in a particular category. And so Anne Rung, the administrator of OFPP, mentioned earlier today, she was talking about the December memo and the movement towards category management. And the idea of category management is very much that we understand how we buy by categories. It's the idea that that we have IT hardware. If you're thinking about buying data centers, do you want to go to IT hardware? Do you want to go to actual cloud services? How do you go to an IT services buy? How do you actually think about buying things? And where do you go to understand that? And what we realized is that there is nowhere in the government where that information is all consolidated. And so what we began doing, and this is, although it's not GSA branded, it is supported by GSA, we began actually consolidating that information and collecting it on the tool that we call the acquisition gateway. And this is part of the Common Acquisition Platform program. So you'll sometimes hear them interchangeably. I'm just walking through sort of the nomenclature so it's clear what we're talking about. What we have, and so what I'm on is actually the landing page of the acquisition gateway. And when you come here, the first thing we have is actually a video. And what the video shows is it explains category management. It explains why we're doing all of this. It takes about 5 minutes to run through. I'm going to skip that today, but I encourage you to take a look at it if these are some if you have not run across category management yet. What we're really doing here, and I talked about, is the learning from experts, connecting to others, and then using that information as part of your actions and part of your thinking when you go out to fill your requirements. This is targeted primarily for people who have government buyers who have requirements. And I'm specifically using the term government buyers because somebody may be a contracting officer and they're conducting the transaction. But as we've heard throughout the day today, we also have the people who have the requirements. We have the financial community. We have many interested parties who participate in the whole purchase, in the whole acquisition, in the whole buying experience. So the types of information that we've gathered are the contracts in the different categories, prices paid data, and then also information about how do you actually buy within this category, what is important. And that's where we're looking for the government community to help us inform all of these pieces of it. What we have here is a start. This has been live for about 4.5 months. So this is only the beginning of what we want to accomplish. And what I said this morning is it's not going to look like this in 3 months, and it's not going to look like this in 6 months. So we're asking you to join us. So let me actually sign in. We are using OMB Max authentication. This is a federal employee-only website. because of the data in it. So I'm going to, and you have to use a PIV card connected to your OMB Max account. And here we go. This is the home page of the gateway is what you're seeing here. And we have the hallways of knowledge, and these are each linked to a category at this point. So what we have is the administrative support, education and training, IT hardware, IT software, professional services, and small package delivery. We are going to be launching another hallway on many of these are linked to the federal strategic sourcing initiatives. So we'll be launching another hallway on cleaning supplies and the information around that on Friday. And then we will be launching another one on Monday on tools and hardware. And by the end of June, we will have 17 total hallways launched. That still is going to not be a full comprehensive view of the government acquisition marketplace, but we're trying to get up the information as fast as we can get as we can work with the category teams to get this information launched. Over on the right-hand side, you also see the acquisition data library, which takes you to the prices paid portal. You have a connect and contribute button, and this is encouraging people to come in. We have a community feature for the acquisition gateway. We also have a desire for people to contribute to this as well. So if you have best practices, if you have case studies that you've gathered in your agencies, we're asking people to share that with us, be it a good story or a bad story. Because, for example, if you have lessons learned from moving your email into the cloud and what you want to do and what you don't, that is something that others who are looking at that same type of action really need to be able to learn about, so that they know what to ask, what questions to ask, or what trade-offs they may want to make. So we're really asking for that information, and OFPP has been very helpful in reaching out to the strategic sourcing community and to many other acquisition communities to help us do the outreach and information gathering. We also have a new link that went live late, actually very early this morning, the Federal Buyers Club. And this right now has very little behind it, but what we're hoping to have in the near future is to be working with U.S. Digital Services and with all of you to begin putting more information behind it. So we have at this point, you heard Matthew Blum speak earlier about the Digital Services Playbook and the TechFAR Handbook. Both of those are posted up here. We also are preparing to launch a community that would allow you to speak to one another. And that is actually going to be live within the next week or so. Once it goes live, we'll be sending out email notices to everyone so that you know that it's ready for you to come in and take a look. The hallways are live today. You don't have to wait to come in and take a look at those. But this is where we're beginning to gather the information that we're hearing about of these innovative acquisition practices so that there's a single repository for all of this data and that somebody who's doing this isn't going to 5 different places to learn about it. So what we have here, as I said, is the 6 different hallways. Let me just, and I showed you the overview earlier today. Things such as comparing the solutions in the different categories. What this actually does is it takes you into a list of contracts that have been collected for that category so that if you're looking to buy IT hardware, you can see that you can use Army Chess, you can use Connections, DHS First Source is listed as a best practice even though it's only available to DHS. DISA Encore. So we also list out who can use it, what the fee structure is, if there is a fee, what the task area or the areas covered by the contract, how do you order, the terms and conditions, and then also when did the contracts expire? So really the basic information so that you're pulling your market research into a single place. What we have also, once again, is the historical pricing data. And right now, this information is contained in individual spreadsheets. We're looking at getting to the point where it's actually contained in a single repository. We actually can do visualizations, more business intelligence. However, our approach is once again, using Agile, is let's get the information up there and then let's learn from you what you need in order for this to be a valuable tool for you. We don't want to spend a lot of time and money doing something that ultimately isn't going to be worthwhile for you to be or usable for the acquisition community. So what we have up here at the moment are the spreadsheets of the historical pricing data that we have. Some of you may have heard that there's been data calls out there for specifically IT categories over the last month or two, and that was part of the FY16 passback asking for that data to be collected from OFPP. And as we get that data, as we get those contracts, more and more of that will be visible in the hallways as the category managers have a chance to go through all of it and figure out what's the usable and what we want to put up. So we also have the transactional platforms which tell you where you can go and buy it, such as DoD eMall, GSA eBuy, GSA reverse auction, Air Force AFWay, places like that. And then once again, a connect and contribute button. Down at the bottom of each page, we also have information on what the experts are saying. So specifically for hardware, we have the Federal Strategic Sourcing Initiative for desktops and laptops. We have understanding technology costs and the total cost of ownership. We have information on Mythbusters, how do you engage with the vendor community. All of these things are things that someone who may not have regular requirements in IT may not be as familiar with. Because oftentimes a program manager does a purchase every couple of years, every 4 years, every 5 years, and they may not be fully aware of the latest information. So we're trying to consolidate it in a single location. Once again, this is where we're looking for feedback on how to build. So what we also have in this category is something called the laptop Navigator. And what this is, and you saw the screenshot of it earlier, what we did is we actually built off the Federal Strategic Sourcing Initiative configurations for laptops. They have a standard, a lightweight, and a performance configuration. You can also look at place of performance, socioeconomic if you want to limit it to small business. And then if I limit it to small business, we have on IT 70, 625 configurations across 3 vendors, and Army Chess 1 configuration from 1 vendor. This data at the moment is dummy. This is a prototype, but what we're trying to do is see how valuable it is to be able to easily compare a commoditized product across different government-wide contracts in a way that you were unable to do before. We're looking for different we're thinking through other applications for this tool. Once again, it allows you to go directly into the buying. However, what you also can use is the market research and then use that research to actually inform your negotiations or inform what type of expectation you should have. We also have view details that give you the model information, manufacturer, part number, pricing, the vendors, display, memory, things that would drive the price. So you can easily see that 4 gigabytes of memory, how much that costs versus perhaps a performance specification which would probably have 6 or 8. And you can also see, does this meet the needs of your agency? The working group that led this effort, their goal was to meet 80% of government requirements by these configurations. So we're building off other initiatives, and we're building digital tools that will help pull information, pull data together. I heard the example of the GI Bill earlier today, where it was 8 different data sources, and it came together in a simple one-page JavaScript tool. Think about that for acquisition. Think about the acquisition data and how we can begin to combine it in a way that moves you faster and gets you closer to what you need. And that's where we're limited by our imagination and knowledge, so we want to join in and share your imagination and knowledge as thinking about how to pull this together. So going back, I want to highlight a couple more tools, and then I'll open it up for questions on this. I went back a little bit too far. Come on. Stop that. Sorry, I have the administrator role, so I have all of this extra stuff all over my screen, which keeps getting in my way. For IT software, and I see, and Jim announced himself earlier, Jim Clausen, as our IT, and he's our IT software category manager. Thank you, Jim. One of the things we have here, for those of you who might be interested, is we have all of the smart buy pricing data. So we have the information that was gathered as we were looking at different opportunities to publish data and Microsoft pricing. So you actually can go in and download the spreadsheet and look at the number of licenses, look at the individual prices that were paid. This is the type of stuff that we've been putting in here. So I wanted to highlight that for the software. And I also wanted to focus on one other thing in our professional services. For professional services, we also launched a statement of work library. And the idea being that most of us, at least I will speak for myself with this, when I have to write a statement of work or a statement of objectives, I open up Microsoft Word and I look at a screen. And I begin to think through, what do I actually need? I might begin Googling a few things, but these are intended, and these have been gathered by our professional services category at GSA. What they've done is they've collected statements of work that the experts have considered to be worthwhile examples in the 9 areas of professional services. So if I open up management and consulting, I have acquisition support, management support services, studies and analysis, and training. So I open up acquisition support, and what I begin to see is a statement of work, a blurb about it, and then being able to download it in either a PDF or an MS Word file that would then allow me to actually edit and customize it to meet my needs. So this is a starting point. What I keep hearing is, well, we want to give thumbs up and thumbs down. We want to link these statements of work to actual performance. Can you begin to link it to FPDS data, to PEPRS data? How do you begin to pull in all these other data sources against it so that you know not only does this meet my need, but actually there's examples about how successful this or unsuccessful the statement of work was in accomplishing someone's mission. Because that's really the ultimate thing, is how successful is this going to be in helping you accomplish your mission. So what we're doing here is we're using Agile. We're beginning to build out a platform that right now we've been putting up much of the information out from either GSA or the other government-wide categories. DoD is running transportation as one of the categories, and Office of Personnel Management is running the human resources category. We've been putting up the information we have, and we've been focused on building the tools. We're in the middle of thinking about this as a platform, thinking about it as perhaps an iPhone platform that then third-party developers can come in. So if your agency has thoughts on tools, that we'll actually be putting in guidelines that would say, if there's something that you want to contribute and build that you think would be very valuable in this category, here's how you would build it and integrate it in. We're looking at, actually we have draft guidelines along that. And we're also looking for user testing, because the only way that this is going to be effective, and we've heard it throughout the day, is get the user's feedback, understand if it's meeting their needs, and also understand how to evolve it and iterate it in a way that meets their needs better. And that's where we need you as users, as people who are willing to think about acquisition differently, to participate with us. And we will be sending out notes to, as I said already, we're going to be sending out the announcement once we have the Buyers Club community up and running. And then you'll also be able to do direct outreach to us to let us know when, are you interested in actually participating in our user testing and giving us direct feedback. You're also welcome to just send us emails with ideas and other things as well. We take user feedback in any form, in any way that we can possibly get it. So that's a reasonable sort of walkthrough of this. I encourage you to go in yourselves and explore it. If you want information on the URL and things, we have the slip sheets out front, as I mentioned earlier. Many of you have already grabbed them. And then from there, I'll open it up for questions. Please.
I'm Munira with the Department of Education. Mm-hmm. Does the gateway provide data, labor data for different type of matrices tied to the Bureau of Statistics labor rates? Just trying to get one resource area for labor pricing, not only across the government, but in the commercial environments?
Right. We do not as of yet. but that's an excellent suggestion. And I know that our SAM IAE team, I believe, is also working on some of those labor rates. We need to be working together with them as well. But I would love to talk to you further and get more detail around what you're looking for, and so we can figure out what ought to be incorporated.
Hello, I have a question, sorry.
Yes, sorry.
That's okay. I'm Amanda Boshears from ATF, Department of Justice, and when you talked about sending emails, I just assume you mean via Contact Us, or is there a specific email box you have, or?
If you're on the gateway and you go into the Connect and Contribute button, we have a couple of things. We have one, and I didn't actually link into it. What we have is the community that allows you to reach out directly to us. So there's that as well. And the question is, for those of you who may not have heard, is there a cost associated with this? There is no, and let me be crystal clear, there is no fee associated with this. GSA's mission as a federal agency is procurement. And to hone that and to really help the government buyers make the best decisions, the agency leadership has made the decision that they want to make all the information in acquisition available. And then and GSA is some of that information, but we're certainly not all of it. So there is no fee. All we're asking is, we're making this as a resource available to assist government with their buying. So, yes.
Hi, Christian from NGA. I noticed that this information is mainly for commercial commodities.
Mm-hmm.
The Defense Contract Management Agency has a similar tool called the DCMA CBAR tool, Contractor Database Repository Tool, that includes cost data for each vendor based on their NAIC codes. Do you think it would be feasible in the later future to consider incorporating that data as part of this great venue?
We would certainly love to incorporate the data. And you're right, most of the information at the moment, we started with the sort of the 10 largest categories that are generally bought across all agencies. Then there's an additional 9 categories that are bought primarily by law enforcement or defense agencies. So we started with the general government categories first. We would love to incorporate data sources, any data sources that we can find across government. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Florence Casule. I'm with the Washington Headquarters Services Acquisition Directorate, part of DoD. I'm a contracting officer, and I have 10 contract specialists on my team, and we are heavy GSA users, but we also use some GWACs. Mm-hmm. What's your lead time going to be in terms of refreshing this information? Because I know like NASA SOUP will update their contracts on a daily basis within 24 hours if we need something. How often will you do yours?
So this is a repository of information about the contracts. So we're working with the category teams who are the owners of the actual information in the categories. Those, as I said, DoD owns the transportation category, so they own small package delivery. Those category owners are responsible for letting us know when the information needs to be updated. And we're actually, to get into the technical side, we're slowly giving over, as the tool becomes more robust, we're giving content management directly to them so they can update on an as-needed basis, which if it's daily, then they should be doing it daily. In most cases, it's every few weeks or once a month or once every 6 weeks. So. All right, and I see Dan in the background, in the back of the auditorium, so I will hand over my place at the microphone for Mr. Tangerlini.